understanding that you can't be looking for signals. This isn't this key. There's not a bot out there. There's not a trading signal group out there. There's not an indicator out there. You don't need to be looking for new signals. So if you wanted to be a very serious trader, I think the Forex market is just not an option. And then when I heard somebody start talking about futures, all of a sudden, these people that were trading futures, this is how I felt. I felt like these are adults and these are children. One of the things that we have a hard time understanding as a human is that the way that we think about something will affect its outcome. And if you do not think that you are a winner, and if you do not think that you can be a trader, and if you do not think these thoughts, you are not going to put in that level of effort, and you are not going to make it happen, and it will not work.
What's up, traders? Welcome to the Day Trading Show. I'm your host, Austin Silver, and today we sit down for a solo episode with Aaron Korbs. Aaron is a fantastic guy, a little bit of a controversial opinion here or there, but we love that on the show, right? So we're sitting down to talk about his strategy. He trades futures. He's got over 10 years of experience. He runs his own education platform. He's a great resource for anyone who right now is maybe interested in learning about what the futures market has. He talks specifically about his strategy in today's episode. So stay tuned, maybe even take some notes, focus in, and enjoy my conversation with Aaron. All right, traders, welcome back to the show. Today, I'm sitting down with Aaron Korbs, his last day in South America, at least for now. What's going on, Aaron? It's good to have you.
Good to be here. Last week in South America, not to cut you off there, but
that's okay.
Don't want to start off with some bad.
No, it's okay. It's okay. Are you sad to be leaving Argentina? I know how you were having such a great time there. When we did your show, you were telling me how you and your wife live a really nice lifestyle down there. So are you sad to be leaving? I'm curious.
Well, I gotta say, first and foremost here, I feel like we're already off to needing some better research for me as a guest. Not married, but
no,
we are having a lot of fun in Argentina. You're probably thinking of Bogita.
Yes.
And no, we aren't married. She is my, she actually left me this week. So I guess maybe a breakup of sorts. We can open up that can of worms if you want. But Bogita's actually gone just as of now. So thankfully not my wife.
Got it. Okay. So now back to solo travel.
Well, so this is my last week in Argentina, and then I'll go back to the States for a wedding. And then I actually don't have a plan of exactly what I'm going to do from there. But yeah, maybe some solo travel or maybe partnering up with somebody else,
Nice. I love it. I love it. Well, it's good to have you on the show, man. I think today is going to be insightful. I really enjoyed the conversation with you after you had James on your show. You had me the next day. So I have to tell you something right off the jump. James hit me up right after he knew that we talked. And he goes, "What'd you think of Aaron? That guy really doesn't like Forex, does he?" And I said, I don't think he does. So it'll be good to talk to you today because I want to hear about where does your trading experience come from, Aaron? I want to get into like your background a little bit more. Where do your belief systems come from? What markets do you prefer to Forex? Because now people are going to be wondering, well, if he hates Forex, what does he like? So before we get into that, let's go back because some people may not know too much about you. Tell us like a 50,000 foot overview of who Aaron is and how he got into trading.
Yeah, sure. So going back to let's say the beginning years, I grew up a little untraditional in the sense that our family was extremely religious to the extent like girls were wearing skirts. We couldn't go to bowling alleys. We couldn't go to movie theaters. Like everything was wrong and very cultish in the sense that everything happened inside the church.
Wow.
Even to the extent where we weren't allowed to go to school. So I was homeschooled my entire life by my mother, who never went to college or anything. And in a lot of ways got very gypped out of an education. So very untraditional path in the sense like going to university, all of this stuff was just not on my radar at all. And so I was in my early 20s, no high school diploma, no college education. And I found myself stumbling across a TED Talk by Tony Robbins. And I never heard of Tony Robbins before, but it was this incredible thing where I was hearing him talk. And it was like for the first time in my life, I just connected with him somehow, knowing like this guy knows something about life. And so I ended up buying his Get the Edge and his Personal Power programs. And they shipped me in like CDs, because this was a little while ago. And I went through those programs. And at the time I was in Hot Springs, Arkansas. I was cleaning windows and I just was going through these self-help programs. And for the first time in my life, it was like somebody was really speaking life into me. And it got me thinking like, just hearing these things, like you can design your life and you don't have to just be a victim to what's going on around you, and you know, helping me figure out what do I want in life. And so through this realization, I realized I had the idea. I was like, you know what? I think I want to be a movie actor, or I think I want to trade stocks. Like, for some reason, both of these fields, I think, spoke to me as this endless opportunity and a chance for a much bigger life than I could have dreamed of at the time. So I kind of in tandem started taking acting classes and started trying to dive into trading stocks, because I didn't know there was anything besides stock market. I didn't know about Forex. I didn't know about anything. And so I think I quickly found out that I didn't want to be an actor. And then I really started to like the markets. And so I spent about a year fumbling around, trying to figure out what was what. You know, understanding that there's a Forex market, there's an options market, there's a futures market, there's stocks. And it took me a while to find my way to the futures market. And I found my way to the futures market, and it really felt like a home. It felt like a place where what I was doing made sense. It felt like something I could really get on board with. And then so I started trading futures at the same exact time. And what really kind of brought me into futures was being introduced to the volume profile, the method of how I approach the markets today. Okay. And then this was when I first got into trading, was back in 2020 or 2014. So this is going on 10 years ago now from the first time I started, you know, getting introduced to it. So
Bro,
anyway,
I would not guess that you've been trading for 10 years. I wouldn't guess you're older than like 28 or 29. I thought you were my age.
It's just years of good, clean living. What can I say?
That's what it is, bro. That's what it is. That's an interesting upbringing, because, you know, it's a crazy time right now in the Forex market. So I think we're going to be talking about this a lot today. And futures has become something that I'm very, very much interested in because of some of the news that just came out over the last couple of days with the Forex stuff. Are you saying come over?
We'll take you with open arms, man.
You know, one of the things that's interesting about it, and then I think we'll come back to your story in a second, but the futures market seems to be more, and correct me if I'm wrong, more regulated, more approved in the US than the Forex market. Am I fair in that?
Yeah, it's definitely more regulated. I don't know if it's more approved in the US per se. Like, I don't think it's any issue trading Forex here. Like, it's not like you're running into a lot of issues if you're trying to trade Forex.
Okay.
But it's definitely more, I would say, regulated. I would say it's more grown up. I would say, yeah, I would have a lot to say about the difference.
Elaborate on that a little bit, please.
Well, I think this would be the best way I could describe my relationship with Forex, because I tried Forex and I was exposed to that when I first got started, because I think a lot of people online talk about Forex.
Yeah.
And I spent a lot of time hearing people talk about Forex and look at these systems. And I think when you compare somebody online talking, this was my experience, the people online that were talking about even individual names of companies trading stocks, people that were talking about trading, and for the most part, maybe options, although I don't think that was I wasn't exposed to a lot of that, and people trading Forex. And then when I heard somebody start talking about futures, all of a sudden, these people that were trading futures, this is how I felt. I felt like these are adults and these are children.
I would agree with that. I think everybody listening would agree with that.
Yeah. And it was just very obvious to me that this person doesn't know what he's talking about. This person knows something. And it was a very like defining moment when I was just, whoa, like, because I was spending a lot of time trying to learn about trading. And then when I finally found some people that were trading futures, it was just like, you all are different. And
did you figure out now that you've been trading Forex, have you figured out why there is this difference between like the childish Forex market in a way and the Forex participants? Is it just because that attracts so many first-time traders, and first-time traders don't normally go to futures? Do you think it's that?
Well, it was tough because when I first started as well, there was no micro contracts. Funding firms were not a big thing. And so it was this dynamic where if you're trading futures, there's nothing less than a mini contract, and you're either running with the big boys or you're not. There's no trade you're going to get in and you can lose $10 or $15. You can lose hundreds of dollars a trade, just reasonably. And I think it made this dynamic where if you don't know what you're doing, and if you're just super casual about this, for you to step into the futures market is just suicide. Yeah. And so naturally, it just made it people that want to casually and people who actually, in a lot of cases, don't know what they're talking about, gravitated to this environment where you could survive. And if you were in the futures, especially a few years ago, again, you had to have a serious level of commitment to what was going on, because it was a very big boy or nothing environment.
And now that's changed. You've seen that change. So can you talk about, do you think that change is advantageous to a new person to futures or no?
Oh, it's amazing. Like
Okay.
I thought when they had micro contracts coming out, it was just the best thing in the world. And I really thought it was gonna be the death of Forex.
Really?
Yeah, because it just opened up the door to now we have a very approachable market to where if you
Because you
are
can get
starting
in with
off,
smaller size. Is that correct?
yes, yes,
That's
yes,
it.
yes, a
That's it.
tenth of the size,
Got
right?
it.
So now all of a sudden you can be in the situation where instead of losing hundreds of dollars a trade, while you're learning per trade, you can start to lose dollars and
Got
tens,
it. Got it.
And then, with funding firms becoming so big, it even makes it more accessible, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a beautiful time to be trading futures. And when we're in the futures market, we have this very regulated, very good market. And I think that when you're trading Forex, some of the very important information that you need is just non-existent. You can't rely on order flow. You can't rely on volume. The idea of trying to figure out where value is, these are core concepts to a lot of professional traders, and they don't exist in Forex. And in my opinion, you need these. So if you wanted to be a very serious trader, I think the Forex market is just not an option. If you want to pull back, take a few trades a week, be casual, try to earn a couple $1,000s a month, yeah, sure, fine. But if you're really trying to do something serious, I think the Forex market is just not the path forward at all.
I think there are going to be people in the comments that agree, and I think there will be people in the comments that disagree. So it'll be good to hear what the audience has to say, because your points are valid, in my opinion. And I think the maturity of the market speaks a lot to who it will attract. I think what turns people away sometimes is complexity, right? Futures is new. The contracts is different than it is in Forex. Maybe even the markets are a little bit different. People aren't used to thinking about trading commodities more. I mean, because like a lot of futures markets, you can trade of commodities, cattle and soybeans and all that. So they don't think about it as much. So I think complexity steers people away, but complexity sometimes can be understood. And then this could be a whole, I mean, look at some of the biggest traders I know trade options and futures. So I think that's my take on it for now. You talked about the funding companies. Are they a viable option? Because, there's some serious stuff going on with the Forex companies right now. Have you seen what's going on Twitter and my Forex funds and all that stuff?
It's football season. Everybody's excited, but you're probably paying like 40 to 50, maybe 60 bucks a month through YouTube TV or Dish TV or NFL Season Pass, whatever it's called, just to watch the games, right? Well, for $10 a month, you can come watch me and other full-time traders live all week long. London session and New York session. Again, you're paying 50 bucks a month to watch football that brings you really no financial return. You probably lose your sports bets while you're watching, or you could come pay, you could come pay $10 a month. So during the week, you can be learning, making money, and really being a part of live trading with experienced traders. That's what we want to bring to the community with this ASFX TV product, and we would love to have you join us. So click the link down below, take the 3-day free trial, check it out, again, totally free, and you'll see it's more than worth the $10 a month, and then you'll be able to enjoy your NFL games and your ASFX TV streams.
Burn them to the ground. I'm here for it.
Are you? Are you?
Oh, no, it's good. I think it's it's just a cyclical thing in life. And I think it's very interesting to sit back and as an observer and to look at industries, to look at everything. And you can look at this in every area of life. We jump on these bandwagons and things go so far to an extreme that there is just this very natural ebb and flow
100%.
of correcting it.
100%.
I think we're seeing that right now with funding companies, and it's a healthy thing. It's a good thing because there will always be a place for these funding companies. I can't imagine a reality where they go away completely, but to naturally just get rid of some of the bad ones and to make it more favorable for the traders is going to be the end result of this, I'm sure. So I'm really, it's like a necessary thing that was bound to happen at some time.
It's like when you got to trim the bushes for them to come back bigger, right?
Yeah, sure.
Maybe
something like that. Yeah.
Something like that. So
yeah.
Can we talk a little bit about your strategy, volume profile and market profile and everything like that? Are they the same thing? Is volume profile and market profile the same thing?
So very similar. When there was this idea brought forth that we could look at the market as an auction. And for the first time, we had this tool that was developed that could allow us the best that we could to see this auction process visually. And back when it was launched and kind of put forward, we didn't have the data capabilities to be able to get to the tick information. Just wasn't possible.
Sure.
So the market profile is largely based on time. Very similar concept to the volume profile, except instead of looking at each individual price, what is traded, it is looking at time, how much time we spent at different levels. And in my opinion, the market profile was an amazing, amazing thing. And the volume profile is the evolution of that, because now we have the computing power to look at every single price and know exactly how much volume traded. And that's what the volume profile is going to tell us. So very similar tools. And I think a lot of mostly old school traders are still using market profile and exclusively. But being, I think the time that I entered into it, I use exclusively volume profile. I don't touch market profile at all, but no issues with it.
Was that self-taught? Because I feel like that's not something I hear people talking about as a very common retail trader strategy. So was that taught from an institutional background first? How did you get into that strategy specifically?
So it was the first thing to me that cleared up a lot of confusion, because I, like everybody, started off completely retail. I have no background in this, as we said earlier, no formal training. I don't even have a high school diploma. So when I was figuring this out, I was looking at everything, and it quickly, I didn't understand this as much now. I understand it very well now, but the average trader starting off is starting from this place of looking for entries, looking for a system that is going to tell them where to enter the market.
Right.
And with using the market and using volume profile, for the first time, it just changed the way I was looking at trading. So I wasn't just looking at these charts, and because I had my MACD crossing, I was looking to get into the market. But it had me step back and be able to evaluate and look at the market as this puzzle and put together, why am I doing this? What is my trade idea? And I started from that place. And so to answer the question of being self-taught there isn't a lot of people talking about it. And I think it was one of these dynamics that most of the traders that know what they're doing, they're either don't talk about it or they're very bad at teaching. So if there is information out there about it, it was not very easily accessible, and it wasn't very easy to know, what the heck do I do with this now? And I did take some early trainings where it was like, you go through it and you realize I have to put so much effort in to figure out what to do with this information. So yeah, it was quite a long process to learn it, but it was something that made sense to me, that I knew there was something here. So I went down that path. And I also knew that not very many people were doing it, which to me was a big plus, because most people were not making money. So if I'm doing something different, that has to at least give me an edge, I thought.
I totally agree. With this strategy specifically, can it be applied to any market? Is it specific to indices, commodities, specific markets? Are you only deploying it in certain places, or could you take this to anything as long as you have level 2?
Okay, I'm exclusively trading futures for a number of reasons, and it definitely couldn't be applied to everything, because you need good, reliable data in order to be able to do this. But if this helps to understand what I'm doing here in a nutshell, I am a discretionary trader, and everything that I do is looking at the market through an auction, understanding that the reason we have markets are not to screw people over, not to take your money, but it's because we're trying to match together buyers and sellers. And when we do that successfully, there's value or balance being established. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at the story of what's happening in the market. I'm trying to identify what is going on with value. Where is that balance? And in order to do this, I use microcomposites. Microcomposites help me understand where value is. And then once I understand where the value is, depending on if we are outside of that value in some kind of price discovery or trend, or if we are currently balancing out inside of that value, then I can put together unique trade ideas that look to either fade and go outside back in when we're in balance, or potentially look to join the action when we are leaving value. Although I'm very much not strong with joining trends. So usually fading outside back in type trades are more of my bread and butter.
And some people would hear this and say, is it fundamental? It doesn't sound super fundamental, right? It's all driven by price.
Very 100% technical. Fundamentals don't matter at all to me. I'm very aware of when they're happening, and I don't even care what they are. So if I know that there's a news event coming out at 10 o'clock, or if it's FOMC, or if it's non-farm payrolls, whatever, I don't care. I want to know that it's happening, but what the number is doesn't matter to me at all. Yeah.
Interesting. Specific to my other question about markets, I liked your answer, but I was asking, could I trade this if I was trading futures on the E-minis? And then could I also trade this on cattle futures? Just because you're getting good
To answer
data.
that question, yeah, for sure. There's nothing, this isn't like a little trick or a little, nifty thing. That's
Right.
just, this
Like
is the
a
fundamentals
glitch
of
in
how
some futures market. Right. It's not like
right.
that.
Yeah. This is the very fundamentals of how markets move and the business that we're doing. So it can be applied to everything. I think the main thing would be markets that have an actual good auction and there's good volume traded. So when you try to apply to like penny stocks or something, or some of these products in some of these markets that would just be much more responsive to just crazy manipulation and things, then we get into bad auctions, and this is different. But
got it.
Yeah, if it's a good product, and we're only ever going to be as good as the products we trade. So as long as you're trading good products, this would be something that applied to it. Yeah.
100%. Is it time frame dependent? Will you only look to take entries because you're discretionary? Does that make you a lower time frame trader, or will you look into some 1 hour, 4 hour daily time frames for entry?
So for entry, I'm pretty drilled in. Okay. I'll look at higher time frames for context, but this isn't a function of the profile. And if anything, zooming out a bit and using more like 30-minute time frames for entry and some of these bigger time frames would be more of a traditional thing to do with this information. I drill it in a bit because I'm not like a traditional market profile, even though I'm using the information, I'm using volume profile, and it's a little bit different. But when I'm drilling in, I call it I'll have time frames where I understand the context. I'll have time frames where, as things are shaping up, I'll look to see these ideas surface, and then I'll have a trigger chart that I call it, where I'm just looking to pull the trigger. And this is very drilled in. So it's set up to like usually a PNF style chart that's not based on time, it's based on range. So I get a very granular understanding of how every rotation is happening. And then
interesting. That's very interesting. What would you describe then, if now you've talked about like the different types of trades you would take? Do you favor one? Do you favor the trend trade? Do you favor the reversal trade? Do you have a preference, or will you take whatever is presenting?
No, I have a massive preference. Too much of a preference, to be honest with you. I'm very, part of my personality is it makes it very difficult for me to join the action. I think I just, in the back of my mind, I feel like I'm being lied to, and I feel like distrust. So if it's like shaping up to like, all I can do is jump on board with this action, it's like, yeah, nice try. So
it's too easy, right? It's almost too easy.
Yeah, too easy. And I think this is just all traders are going to usually fall in one of these buckets, where for you, it's much easier to be a part of joining a trend, or for you, it's going to be much easier to fade the action. And this is a very important thing to understand, because a lot of traders come into it and they don't ever identify with themselves, like, what are my natural aptitudes? What is just easier for me to do? And if you're one or the other, you can get better at the other thing. But especially starting off, if you are having a very hard time to fade the market, and that's the strategy you're using, it's going to be very difficult for you. Or if you have a very difficult time joining it and you're following a trend following type strategy, so these are things to really nail down. And for me, it is so much easier to fade the action than it is to go with it.
100%. Okay, that's interesting. And I think it, like you said, it has a lot to do with beliefs and even your upbringing and everything. And it all comes together in the way that we look at markets. Have you found that anyone you've ever worked with trades identically to you? Would you say that this process is duplicatable, or is it so unique to you that it's really hard to duplicate?
No, not hard to duplicate. But I think the power from our trading comes when we can really make our decisions on our own. So to have a baseline framework and to have some trade ideas and some trades that you are following, so that as you're learning something, you understand and you can start seeing some progress. But as traders, we all see things differently. And I can look at the charts for 10 years and somebody else can come in and they can see something that I just never would have seen. Sure. So the market has a lot of ways to pull out trade ideas. And some of these can be very unique. Great ways to make money. But as a foundation and as a baseline, I would say there's a lot of similarities of looking at the market of value, the way that we enter on pullbacks. Some of these things are just very important for traders to be doing. And all of those are very translatable for sure.
Great answer. Last question on strategy. What's your average hold time for these types of trades? Are you layering into a position and like trying to run that over multiple days, or is this day trading in and out kind of thing?
Yeah, always flat at the end of every session. And so when I come in, I've tried everything. I've tried holding on to positions and it just will ruin my life. If I've done it several times where I'm holding positions overnight and I'm doing something else and I'm just not even there. My body's somewhere else. My mind is right here.
Right.
Or I'm just checking it like an idiot all night and just kind of like at a dinner and it's just ruining everything. And it's much better for me just to come in and treat this like I have a job to do. And I'm either going to capture these moves and take advantage of what the market is doing. I'm going to solve this puzzle today, or I'm going to live to fight another day. But it's just, okay, now it's done. We come back tomorrow. So the average hold time, though, is relatively short, and it really depends on what the action is giving us. So there are kind of two types of trades that I'll be involved with, things that are meant to just get in and out of, because this is where the trade is. I'm expecting it to, move here to here. And as soon as that happens, it could happen in a few minutes. It could happen in under 15 minutes. And then there's trades where this is the one to hold on to. This has some distance to go. Everything about this idea is lining up where we got some, to travel. And that would almost be like an intraday swing trade or like and that would be something I would hold on for maybe a couple of hours. But if I had to say average hold time, it would be, under an hour.
Got it. Love it. So for a day in the life right now, what does that look like? Because you're trading with futures. Correct me again if I'm wrong, but a lot of the future stuff, you cannot trade pre-market and post-market. You only trade New York market hours open. Is that correct?
No, definitely not actually.
Okay.
So very similar to the Forex market hours, basically 23 hours a day, 5 days a week.
Okay.
So they'll open up on Sunday night and then they close on Friday night.
Got it.
And then there's just an hour break every single day. But other than that, it's virtually 24 hours a day. So the way that I'll do it is I always trade the US session. So I'll be trading Eastern time, 9:30 all the way typically up until 5 o'clock now, but 4 o'clock Eastern time. And so I'll trade those hours regardless of where I'm traveling.
Sure. And then do you try as you're traveling to like live a tourist life where you're like out when you're not trading, enjoying the area, or do you try to like settle somewhere and get a routine established? Because I feel like for me, I couldn't be that like traveling trader and tourist guy. Like I need routine or I don't feel like I'm working properly.
Sure. No, it is it is a difficult thing to get that balance because the amount of chaos you bring into your life when you are traveling, especially this aggressively. And to put this in context for people, probably in the last less than a year and a half, I've been to Dubai, Greece, Italy, Spain, Mexico, Colombia, Ecuador, Peru, Chile, Brazil, and now I'm Argentina.
It's a good list, bro.
Thanks. So, but when you're trying to adapt that type of a schedule, and that it is just chaotic. And
of course,
with the tasks that we are doing here, this is a very performance-based business, and we have to be very focused and to replicate order, which we have to have, and not to have too much chaos. It's not an easy thing to do, and it took me quite a while to get this ironed out. But there's a lot of things that I have in place that make this work. So to answer your question, I don't try to treat it like I'm on vacation because I'm not. And I've been doing this kind of at this pace for so long that it's just life. It's just the way that I'm living my life for this season.
Yeah.
And I'll do the normal work stuff, usually during the week, pretty focused on just doing work. And then at nights, potentially doing some activities and things like this. And then usually weekend pretty heavy. Seeing the things that are meant to be here. And a big thing I'll do is I try to adapt to where I'm at and do something local there. So we just came from Brazil and I signed up for a Brazilian jiu-jitsu gym and several nights a week I was doing jiu-jitsu.
That's cool.
Here we're doing a ton of tango dancing.
I remember you told me that. That's good. That's good, bro. That's awesome. That is experience. I mean, and like, what is the point of trading? For most people, it's to gain enough freedom to experience more things. And you are living that lifestyle. I mean, it's commendable, bro. It's awesome. What do you think like the next season of your life looks like? Do you think it looks like more aggressive travel or do you crave a little more routine? I'm just curious.
So I have an idea of where I want to be, and I call it the compound, and it's 100+ acres of land where I have it pretty well even built out in my mind. And so part of my motivation right now is because I have a home. I'm not like a vagabond necessarily. I was actually trying to sell it though, but for the foreseeable future, I'll kind of have Connecticut as my home base. And then I think next year I'll plan on just keeping my schedule pretty similar of a little bit of aggressive travel. And my end game is to really set down roots. And I think I know what I want, and I that can move very fast once I get to a certain point, but I'm just not there yet. So I'm kind of just staying super, super remote until I go hardcore down.
That's awesome. Do you want to do that in the States? Do you want the land in America or outside America?
I would have always said America for sure. And I think right now it's probably I'm not 100% sure on that anymore, but I'd probably be like 70% sure the States.
Okay. I love it. So let's talk for a few minutes about psychology, if you don't mind, because I know you have a lot of experience trading, and I think people could really appreciate some insight from you. Do you feel that the strategy a trader uses is more important than the psychology that trader has developed? Or is the psychology, the risk management, that side of trading, self-management, emotional management, is that more important than the strategy? Which boat are you in there?
So, okay, really, really important question. And I'll say this, I would be on the camp of, if your belief system is wrong, nothing else matters. It just doesn't matter. If you do, one of the things that we have a hard time understanding as a human is that the way that we think about something will affect its outcome. And if you do not think that you are a winner, and if you do not think that you can be a trader, and if you do not think these thoughts, you are not going to put in that level of effort, and you are not going to make it happen, and it will not work for you. And it kind of, this idea kind of borderlines on the law of attraction, but in a little bit more of a practical way. But I will say this. So that's kind of my stance, is I'm definitely on that side. If your belief systems are wrong, nothing else matters. With that being said, I think a lot of traders struggle with their method, and they think they're struggling with emotions. They have a method that they don't understand. It doesn't really work. They don't really know why they're doing it. They've never really seen any success with it. And they're getting into action, and they're scared, or they're nervous, or they're feeling all of these emotions, and they're good responses, because the average trader is walking into an environment where you are getting ready to lose money. It's dangerous. You are not prepared for what's about to happen. And the things you're struggling with are good. They're telling you, stop. And the answer is not, I just need to get, more courage. It's like, no, if you mastered your method, if you had a method that you truly believed in and was suited for you, 80% of everything you're struggling with now mentally would just disappear, because the root of why you're feeling those things are really valid feelings to be scared of.
100%.
Really dangerous.
It's a great answer. So what do you recommend to someone who then says, okay, I admit the strategy is wrong. What's the next step? Is it go try a bunch of strategies and see until you find one that aligns with your beliefs? Like just taste it all at the buffet until you find something? What do you would recommend in that position?
Before is that one more thing I forgot, that I don't know why this just hit me. I think it was Brent Steenbarger who said that if your mindset is really good, but your system's bad, you're going to feel much better about losing money.
It's so true. It's so true. It's great. I love that.
Okay. So sorry, back to your question. The question was, if somebody realizes that I don't know if my method is even good, or I'm not confident in my method, what do we do
next? Yeah.
So my experience with this was, kind of like dating. You can kind of go through a lot of relationships, and then when you meet, let's say, the one, or you meet somebody you're really compatible with, you kind of understand why it didn't work with other people, right? When I tried a bunch of different things, and I would say there's not a substitute for this. You need to try some things, and you need to be able to make your own decisions as a trader. And you can't just rely on this person's doing this or this person's doing this, but you need to get in there and actually think through and try some things. And to make it really practical, I would just, at the end of the day, you're only going to be as good as the products you trade. So make sure you're trading a good market. And I would start with understanding that you can't be looking for signals. This isn't this key. There's not a bot out there. There's not a trading signal group out there. There's not an indicator out there. You don't need to be looking for new signals. Looking for a method of how to understand what you're doing and why you're doing it. And primarily looking for a method that's going to help you do some type of fade or some type of join, because that's the only trades that we could possibly do. Join the action or fade it. Find out which one of those you like, and then, start just kind of going deeper and deeper down that road of building out a holistic method. There's a lot of moving pieces to it.
A lot of moving pieces, but you're the second guest actually to mention that. I've had Boris Schlossberg on, and he said there's only two types of trades: continuation or reversal. That's exactly what you said. So I think that that's great advice, because I think a lot of traders don't even step back to think about a simple question like, where do I tend to lie? It's very clear when you look at someone's personality if they're going to be more of that reversal trader or if they're going to be more of that continuation trader. Wouldn't you agree? Like, you could even talk, I mean, people have been listening to you, if they've been here for the last 35 minutes, they could probably tell from the way you talk and the way you come off is like, this guy's going to fade the market, bro. Like, he's a little contrarian, he's a little cynical. You can tell, right? Am I fair in that?
Yeah, maybe. I think I would have a hard time understanding that from somebody, but to your point, yeah, if they're maybe talking for like 30 minutes, I could probably get an idea. Yeah.
I think you could. Yeah, absolutely. So, okay. So that makes sense. So like, I know the strategy doesn't work, and now I need to make a step towards like finding something that does work for me. I'm going to go try new things, dip my toe in the water, see what aligns, see what kind of belief systems I really have. Do you think that those answers come from reading trading psychology books, reading trading books, or do you think that those answers are found through actual experience? Like, what type of physical action have you recommended? Because I know you're connected with a lot of traders. What have you seen work well for some of these guys? Is it find a coach? Is it find a book? Is it find it? What is the next, like, what does that action look like?
Yeah, the more I'm doing this and the more my reach goes out, the more I'm starting to really understand that there isn't a thing to do. And I think that this is tough for people trying to learn a new skill and people trying to go down a, maybe a new path, or just trying to better your own life. Is there's not a thing you need to be doing. It's very highly personalized. So generally though, when you're talking about, should we read books? Should we get a coach? So we do this thing. Books, I don't really like. I don't know very many good trading books out there that I think are going to push the needle for people, especially if we're talking about like a tactical sense of learning a method.
Right.
I think the best resources we have for that right now are going to be in structured like online training programs. Definitely been my experience. I think randomly listening to people is a huge detriment. Yeah. If you're serious about your trading and you're trying to learn this, a very powerful thing you could do is limit yourself to just no more than 3 people that you're listening to. 1 to 3 people exclusively.
Great advice.
As soon as you start listening to more, the signals are getting crossed. And even if certain people are excelling at certain things, they're just going to be telling you different things. So, you want to hone that in and get very clear about it. But there is nothing that makes up for just putting in the actual effort, making your own observations and coming to your own conclusions about stuff. I think it's very nice to put in a level of effort to understand who you should be listening to. And this is hard. This is hard because the world is so noisy, and you almost have to have a degree of expertise before you can understand whether or not somebody is somebody who you want to listen to.
Of course.
So it can be very difficult at first.
Yeah.
But trying to narrow in who you should listen to. And the best way to shortcut this is by getting, advice from them. And I've spent probably damn near $100,000 on my own personal education.
Really?
In terms of, not trading specifically, but if we're talking about
self-development, all that stuff. Online, right. Yeah. You started talking about Tony Robbins an hour ago. Right.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan of online training and education. And since I didn't go the normal route, this was my route. And so I'm a huge fan of that. And I'd highly recommend doing that. But I think before you ever look into buying a course or something like that, you should figure out a couple things about yourself first, or you can just kind of go down a rabbit hole.
It's very true. I love that answer too, man. Great answer. Do you feel like there is value in like just trading a live account versus coming into the market, maybe taking a course, trading a demo account? Do you think there's value to just hop in the live market and figure it out? Or is it better to slow your roll and step in slowly? What have you seen?
Oh, yeah, there's no benefit in just going by yourself, for sure. No, especially not live. I think that one of the toughest things about trading is it is so easy to get started, and it is so difficult to do consistently. Yeah. And when you're young and you don't know what's going on, or when you're new and you don't know what's going on, you conflate those two. Sure. If I have a pulse, if I have a checkbook, I can be up and running literally like today trading.
Yep.
And the ease of getting started should not be confused with how difficult of a thing this is to do consistently. And it's, what's very tough about trading that screws all of us over is this is one of the only high performance and very competitive fields that you can enter. And you can win without knowing what the hell you're doing. It's wild. Like, you do anything else, go out there and try to be a basketball player, go out there and try to be a UFC fighter.
It's so
Step
true.
into the cage, you will lose 100 out of 100 times.
Right.
Trading, you cannot know what in the world you're doing, but the market either goes up or down. And so you can make money.
Yep.
And it's also a thing that really screws us over. And so there are so many things in this business that will throw you off. And at the core of it, anything you naturally want to do, it's the wrong thing to do, guaranteed. And so you can't, trust yourself. You really, you need to be able to lean on people, because especially going live, there's no benefit in just getting out there and trying to figure it out fast like that, in a way.
Isn't it funny that we want to do this business where like humans are like naturally wired to almost like you just said, naturally want to do the wrong thing? In so many cases in trading, the human brain, our DNA says, do the opposite of what we're supposed to do. It's crazy. And we still try to do it.
It's an interesting thing about trading, for sure, but it's something to be aware of, for sure.
But I would say in a way it plays into what you talked about earlier about like it being too easy. We are here because we like solving problems, and solving simple problems just doesn't do it for you, especially after a certain amount of time, to where your brain will be like, no, that's too easy, overcomplicated. That breakout's not going to hold. It's not going to run. It's coming back. Well, there you go, as it goes up 2% or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's like, we do tend to overcomplicate things. What do you feel like is, any other good advice to a new trader who is struggling to not so much find consistency? Because I think that's a lofty expectation for a new trader, but just new trader struggling to find someone to listen to. Could you recommend anyone specific that you do like?
I would probably need to know more. I would have a few questions for that individual person.
Ask
probably.
me. So, take me as an example, because like I'm thinking about learning how to trade futures. Where do I go? I've been trading for, you know what I mean? Because I trade SPX and NASDAQ now. The funding companies allow you to trade them as the CFD. So I'm basically trading the same thing everyone tells me is the futures. I just need to shift over. Okay, but that's easier said than done. I don't know anything about futures contracts. I don't know anything about anything. So what would be the advice to somebody like that? Use me as the example.
Okay. Got it. I would highly recommend one of three outlets. Okay. I'll be very fair about this. This should come into disclosure that I have a product that I sell, so I'm a little bit biased to this. If you're asking me, I would tell you, go to TradeAct. Everything that I create and all my stuff is there. So that is the number one resource on the planet. But let me throw a couple maybe price points at you as well.
Okay.
If you're somebody who doesn't know what you're doing and you're looking for something maybe more like a community feel, there's a group called Convergent. Give a shout out to FT71. He's the one that runs that over there. I think there's a small monthly fee and you get to be a part of like a very good group over there. I think they got a good thing going on. So if you're really uncommitted and not just sure of what you want to do and you kind of want to test the water, that's a strong recommendation. Another great trader online is Merritt Black. I have a lot of respect for him. I like him a lot. He would be another good person inside the futures to go to as well. And he has a development that you can access.
Yeah, we have a lot of fans of our group that are big fans of SMB, and anybody that's been through him, Lance, all those guys, they're all great.
Yeah, sure. So there's definitely some good people out there. And what I would start to do is, as you start to listen to certain people, you'll start to kind of see who they're bumping shoulders with, and then start to kind of make these distinctions between people online that know what they're talking about and people that don't. And I think that's a very good place to start.
I love it. It's great info. So Aaron, we're almost at an hour. It's been great. I appreciate you. I really appreciate you having me on your show. I don't just appreciate your time for my show. It's been a pleasure. What do you think about maybe sometime in the beginning of 2024, we have you back on? So we tell the audience today, go to YouTube, drop a comment. Let me know what you want me and Aaron to discuss next time, or even just send it to me on Instagram, send it to Aaron and we'll circle back. But what do you think, Aaron? We'll do a part 2 in a couple of months and circle up, see where you're at. Who knows where you're even going to be at that point. We'll probably have to do it like 12 hours behind or whatever. You'll be across the world somewhere.
Yeah, no, definitely. I big fan of the show. Love sitting down, chatting with you, man. So anytime, any day, anywhere, catch me.
No you problem. Are the man. So tell everybody where to find you, Aaron. I know you mentioned your website already, but plug it again, because I'm going to go check it out as soon as we get off the episode. I'm not even kidding, bro. It's funny that we did this today as all this stuff is going on. It's perfect timing.
Yeah. So anything that I do, I have a company, TradeAct. TradeAct.com basically is run by my partner, and then I create the content for it. So anything that I create is there. And then the only platform that I'm personally doing anything on is pretty much YouTube. I really don't care for social media much. I have an Instagram with, I don't really like to talk to people online. I don't really want, it's just like not my thing right now. So not a good way. If you reach out to like an email or something, I check my email like once a quarter, so I don't really like talking to people. So
you say you're not a true vagabond. That was spoken like a true vagabond. I check my email once a quarter.
Oh yeah. I got a little bit of that gypsy blood in me.
I love it, bro. I love it. I love it. You're a great dude, Aaron. It's great to speak with you always, bro. I appreciate the time. Like I said, I can't thank you enough. So listeners, make sure you subscribe. We've got videos every week, all week, coming at you with more episodes. But until next time, Aaron, it's been a pleasure. Travel safe, bro, and we'll chat soon.
Take care, man.